And before I begin, I also want to acknowledge CJ's tremendous work. They are a paramount of professionalism in the way they conduct themselves and the way they advocate their position, and I want to acknowledge that as well. So I want to make it absolutely clear. New Democrats absolutely stand firmly opposed to any movement which encourages hate, prejudice, racism, or intolerance in any way. We stand opposed to those types of movements. We recognize, in fact, Ontario's long-standing relationship and ties between Ontario and Israel. In Canada, I feel we often point fingers in other directions. We look at other communities or other countries and say, there's injustice there, there is anti-Semitism there, and we often fail to acknowledge that anti-Semitism is alive and real here in Ontario. In our fight to end anti-Semitism, in our struggle to raise awareness about this injustice, in our struggle to denounce it and to fight against it, we must not be distracted. In our focus, we can't be distracted by conflating criticisms of a government or criticisms of a government's policies with anti-Semitism. That distracts us from the real problem, which is anti-Semitism. But we can't be distracted by conflating the criticism of a government's policies, a government itself, and of a people, of a religion, of a faith, of an ethnicity. It's absolutely important for us to recognize that peaceful demonstrations, discussions, debate, discourse, whether we agree with them or not, if they're expressed towards the criticism of a government or its policies, are absolutely within our democracy, something appropriate, whether we agree or disagree. And so we must similarly separate the criticism of the government of Israel or its policies from criticism of its people. People must be able to have a right to criticize a state's policies or its decisions. People must be able to encourage a state to follow through on their obligations. There are serious concerns with respect to the human rights violations endured by the Palestinian people. We must support the freedom to raise these concerns. We can't conflate anti-Semitism with a movement that seeks to perhaps influence a government to change its course of action. These types of discourse, these types of engagement are something that we don't have, we shouldn't, in this legislative assembly, in this province, or in this country, we shouldn't silence.